Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I rise today to commemorate John Bulloch Day in the Georgia Senate. I do have my blue jeans on, but I'm not here to talk about wearing blue jeans. I'm here to talk about my friend, John Bulloch. Now, how do I know John Bulloch since I was just elected to the Senate in 2018? Well, John Bulloch and I were seatmates in the Georgia House. And John made sure I voted with the farmers on every farming vote. He taught me about the business of cotton farming. He taught me about pecan farming. So I want to tell you a little John Bulloch story, because something happened to me after I served my first term in the Georgia House. I got pregnant. Now, back then, only about 20% of the legislature was women. And no female legislator had ever had a baby before while serving. It was the first time. Now, I didn't plan the timing very well because my due date was January 1, year 2000. Well, you know, that's right before the session starts, right? Okay, so my baby was to be 3 weeks old when the session started. I realized that if I took a maternity leave, I'd miss the whole session. Well, I couldn't do that. I was elected to represent my voters. Then I realized no daycare center would take a baby that's 3 weeks old. So I worked things out with the speaker to bring my baby with me. It wasn't easy to work that out, but we worked it out. And I talked to my seatmate about it, and I said, well, John, I'm going to breastfeed my baby. I was the executive director of the Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies Coalition of Georgia. We advocated for breastfeeding. I couldn't not breastfeed. And John's face, you should have seen it. He said, well, you know, Sally, there are things you can do about that now. I'm like, what do you mean, John? He goes, well, you know, those little pump things, you can do that. I'm like, no. I said, my baby's gonna be with me. Do you realize it would take twice the time to pump and then feed my baby? No, John. I'm going to breastfeed my baby. Well, it wasn't so easy. It was my first baby. The first weeks, there was a committee chairman, Representative Roger Byrd, if you remember that, and if you remember him, he offered his office for me to go to when I needed to change diapers or nurse. And so I used that office for a while, but then I realized, well, I got better at the breastfeeding, but I realized I was missing votes, and I didn't want to miss votes. So I just quietly started breastfeeding right there in the chamber. And John sat next to me. And that man made that possible because he protected me. And he supported me. Because it was a scary thing to do. I didn't realize it was a courageous thing to do at the time. I just had to do what I needed to do. But I was able to do it because John was my seatmate. So he gave me a gift I wanted to show you that year. And it's this little pair of overalls that have my son's initials on it, 6-month size. Well, these don't fit my son anymore. My son grew taller than me several years ago. He's 20 now, and he does not like me to tell this story, by the way. But I just wanted to stand up here on John Bulloch Day in the Georgia Senate and say, thank you, John Bulloch. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator.